Okay, let's go up against level 120 PKA Kizaru with what I believe is the fastest team possible. This team is really good in terms of speed. The damage is not there. It's not going to be a level 150 team, but it is very, very fast. We have wave clear. There's no stall. Even though we have such a very high cooldown unit in the 10th anniversary ace, we have ways to get him cooldown. So we're just going to be using a friend captain gear 5. He's a great unit for this quest. He's essentially our main damage dealer on the team. He does have rainbow damage since we have one of every type on this crew. And Kinemon is literally just there to give us cooldown. He is essentially just there for speed. So the combo of Luchikaku and these other characters are so good that we can essentially have a dead unit. Kinemon is also there as a strength slashy unit, so that's very good. Allows us to get one of every class for the ship, which will extend our chain boundary from Lucci and Kaku, so it lasts until the final stage. It also means we of course have one of every type for Luffy's rainbow damage, which is very important because the final stage is 50% int only, so Luffy will not, in normal cases, Luffy would not have color affinity for that other half, but with rainbow damage, he can essentially just one-tap the enemy, making the team very quick. So it's very important that you start Lucci and Kaku in the exact same form as I do. And as you can see, just a one-tap with Luffy. Of course, if your friend captain isn't maxed, you might want to hit with your Sanji first and just build up a bit of a chain, but either way, this is just for showcase purposes. You don't need that YT base support. I will explain the replacements for all the supports later on, but Kakuluchi essentially gets around everything on this stage. And one very cool thing is that Luffy, as a captain, he makes all of his own orbs beneficial, all the natural orbs, so Luffy will guaranteed have a matching orb on every single stage. So there's zero RNG in that regard. And Lucci and Kaku not only gets around everything on stage 4, but also brings a 3x color affinity and a chain boundary into the final stage. And then in addition, we'll get around the damage reduction and give us an attack and orb boost in turn from the captain effect. You can then use Ace to get around the damage nullification and give us a conditional attack boost. Ace is also the dex and shooter unit on the team, allowing us to get one of every single class and type. And then we can just tap and kill with Luffy. We have a 95% damage reduction from Quickbeard. Make sure you use Quickbeard before Sanji, because if you don't, then Quickbeard will not give the damage reduction, because Sanji allows us to get back up to above 50% HP. And as you saw, that you can actually use the rush ability of Ace. Tap on him first, and that will give you a bunch of extra hundreds of millions of damage. So one thing I need to mention is that Whitebeard is a character that is very important to have at level limit break 5, but it will work without him maxed. The reason I say that is because he gets around 4 turns of burn only without his level limit break 5. But it goes up with his upgrade, of course, allowing you to get around all 7 turns of the burn, which allows you to hit perfects on your units, build up a chain. It also means that you can use the rush ability of Ace. If you don't have the Whitebeard maxed, you can still start the rush of Ace, but just immediately end it. So immediately start the rush and then end it. You'll still get quite a bit of damage from that, and then just hit a perfect on your gear 5. He himself will be able to tank the instant burn, and then since we have such a hefty damage reduction from Whitebeard, which is still 95% without the upgrade, you can tank the death hit even with 5k HP, for example. Now, as for the supports, one thing I want to mention is Kinemon. I recommend having this guy with double special activation maxed. He's just going to provide us with that cooldown to allow our Ace to be ready. If you don't have his double special activation max for some reason, you don't have double special activation tablets, you can just use the Mr. 3 support instead of Hancock, Nami, and Robin for an extra turn of cooldown. And speaking of which, if you don't have Hancock, Nami, and Robin, there are many replacements that will give Ace cooldown. There's the 10th anniversary Roger. You can use Rikuyo, who's probably the most accessible option here. Since we're only using Ace on the final stage, this is fine. We don't need him to get cooldown early on in the quest. So any one of these characters will work. And then as for the pudding support, you can also use Peckham's instead. That will also allow you to get around the special rewind on stage 3. As for the blowaway, make sure that your quick beard is on the bottom row. Not only is quick beard great as a striker powerhouse unit, allowing us to get one of every class, and also getting around the burn, providing us with damage reduction and a chain boost on the final stage, but he also is resistant to blowaway, which is such a crucial feature. So make sure you do have quick beard limit broken at least. He's not a main damage dealer since he's not a unit boosted by Luchi and Kaku's captain ability, but he still is going to be very important to have limit broken for his ability to negate blowaway on stage 3, because Kinemon, he will not get resistance to that. He will be blown away for the rest of the quest. Even on stage 5 he will still be blown away. So that just goes to show your Whitebeard will not be ready, or any other type of unit you use, they will not be ready. They will still be blown away. So you need Whitebeard there. He's just the perfect fit for this team. Now PKA Sanji, this one is very unorthodox. I never use this guy. I don't think I have used him since his release. He was the second Pirate King Adventures unit in the game about 2 to 3 years ago, I think. He's been very trash since his release, but in this Pirate King Adventures in particular, he is an absolutely godly unit. Now on this team in particular, he acts as the int and cerebral character, so he's going to allow us to get one of every single class and type, of course. But not only that, he will also allow us to get around the stun on stage 4, the pain and orb-based damage reduction that the enemy will have if we do have above 50% HP going into the final stage. So using Sanji on stage 3, he will allow us to get our HP cut by 90% after a turn. So on stage 4, our HP is reduced. We can then use Sanji special again on the final stage to heal our HP, to allow us to tank the death hit and to get access to the rush ability. So Sanji is great for reducing our HP temporarily and then allowing us to get it back on the final stage when we need it for the death hit. Not only that, he also provides us the cooldown for Ace, which is very nice. Another very cool thing about Ace, and that makes him very hard to replace, is that he has a Sailor ability to reduce all these turns of special rewind, which essentially allows him to, and he also provides a ton of cooldown with his Sailor. So he's a perfect unit to go into the middle row alongside Sanji to allow us to get around the special rewind on stage 3. But I can't lie, Kakuluchi is the absolute goat of this team. He's so perfect for this content. Of course, the speed farming aspect, but then the main thing is he allows us to get around both the damage reduction and the threshold on both stage 4 and 5 on this quest, and in turn provide us an attack and or boost with that captain effect. This is one of the strongest abilities in Treasure Cruise in my opinion. Of course, it is only a 70% reduction in threshold and damage reduction effects on the enemy, but remember that works regardless of how many turns there are, and I've noticed that it's not really that bad of a reduction, even though there's still 30% remaining or 20% or whatever it is. And then of course his special is also really nice for stage 4, getting around both the attack down and providing you a chain boundary that will last until the final stage. Same goes with the color affinity. As I said before, Kinemon is literally just there for cooldown. And as for the ship, all you need is mod 1 for the bind reduction. If you don't have Khalifa though, your only option as a replacement is going to be Cornelia on your Ace, in which case he's a 3-turn bind reducer and you don't need the mod on the ship. But remember, it's only mod 1, so most people will have it anyways. But yeah, Cornelia is the only replacement for Khalifa. Unfortunately, it's the least accessible supports for the bind reduction. There's literally no other option. For Whitebeard, his only options for supports are going to be characters that or supports that activate upon him using his special. The problem is that Whitebeard himself is binded on the final stage. Sanji here definitely needs that pudding or Peckham support. And if you are using Cornelia instead of Khalifa, then what you can do is use or stall 1 turn, because you'll have 1 less turn of cooldown from not having those supports of Hancock or the Mr. 3. But that's about it for the team. You don't need Whitey Bay at all. Just helps a teeny bit on with damage on stage 4. If you don't have her, just tap a few more perfects, build up your chain, and you should be fine. That's essentially it about this team. If you guys enjoyed, if you have any questions, ask them down below. In terms of replacements, I don't think like units from the main team are replaceable at all. everyone has such a specific role. Even Kinemon, who seems insignificant, is one of a kind for this context of the team. A strength slasher unit that gives us 2 turns of cooldown, that is ready right at the start of the quest to be used before he gets blown away. Very specific. And everyone else I've explained as well. Ace, PKA, Sanji, Kakuluchi, Quickbeard, all those units are so unique in their role on this team, there's no chance they'll be replaceable. The supports, definitely. But that's about it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, and I'm out.